All right, without further ado, we have two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, Kyle Busch, driver number 18, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. We'll go ahead and open up to the questions. Is anyone?
Cool, I'm out.
We'll start back here with Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Talking to people in the garage, BJ McLeod it seems like he's one of the more respected drivers out there who's really kind of unheralded a little bit. Wondering what your interaction with BJ's like and what your opinion of BJ's like.
I love BJ. I think he's a great guy, great individual, very kind in his ways. We've had lots of discussions over the course of our time here, his time. And we come from somewhat similar backgrounds with the super late models. He's raced there for a long time, and now he's getting into NASCAR, trying to make his way here and things like that, being a team owner on the Xfinity side, racing and being a team owner now on the Cup Series side as well. So just the way he conducts himself, goes about himself on the racetrack as well, too. He's always been very fair, always tries to be out of the way as much as possible and just minds his own business per se, and yet looking out for others while on the racetrack. And I've never had any issues with him. So I feel like he's done a good job and worked a lot and has a lot of self-awareness of all of the sport.
Okay, let's go over here.
Kyle, to your right. Dustin Albino, jski.com. I'm doing a story on the Monday Night Racing iRacing League. I'm curious, how much fun do you have competing in that league and then also sponsoring it?
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Ford and I, we've known each other for a long time, obviously, and he and I, we've had a relationship, and so he invited me to join the league a couple years ago, and before it kind of took off, I feel like it's taken off a little bit the last couple of years, which has been really cool. We've gotten a lot of guys in there, good guys that race hard and run hard for wins and stuff like that. So double-edged sword for me. There's better competition, but now I'm getting beat. So, but I did win a couple times this year, which was cool, and ran up front a bunch too when I was able to chime in. But overall, I enjoy it, and being able to sponsor it this year, just put our name on it and have some fun with it, be able to do some giveaways, do some fan interaction, stuff like that on social. So that's been a bit of where we've excelled with it, I feel like, for us and our brand. But the season of it, now that we're into our NASCAR season, I'm like, man, I kind of wish it was still going. But on the other hand, I'm like, no, I don't, because I know I'm going to get too busy to join in a whole lot. So looking forward to the next season that starts up.
Come over here to Mark.
Mark Carroll, PRN. Kyle, looking ahead to Phoenix, coming out of that test, some of the drivers talked about this car being more nimble and being a car that will turn a little bit better and should be a better short track car. Do you agree with that?
Who are those guys? Name names.
Don't have them off the top of my head. Just read some quotes.
Wow. All right. No, mine was not that way. So I want to drive their cars. We were not very good at Phoenix, so we definitely struggled there. I would say that was probably our worst test of this new car. So that was a bit of a struggle place for us. I felt like we learned a little bit. Of 35 runs, we had 3 good ones, so the rest of the time we learned what not to do. That was just a learning experience, so that's why I wasn't really very optimistic about going to LA, because I felt like those two were going to correlate, but we were fast out at LA, so I think some of the stuff that we did learn what not to do helped us for going to LA, so I'm optimistic of going to Phoenix, hopefully, and having a better showing than what our test was.
Okay, let's go over here to Jerry, then Bruce, then Daniel.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. I didn't wreck you. Seriously, being a Vegas guy, NASCAR has embraced sports betting now with some of their partners with MGM and DraftKings and Pinnacle and things like that. What are your thoughts on that transition of when it used to be kind of a taboo to talk about sports betting and racing and things, and how do you look at that now?
I mean, I'm all ears. I'm open to it. I wouldn't say I don't have any reservations or anything like that to it. I've had friends that have bet on NASCAR races for years, and have always just kind of told me, hey, I won such and such money on you today, or thanks for, winning today, blah, 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 whatnot. So, some friends of mine from years ago, they put money on me to win the championship in 2015 before I even broke my legs and stuff like that. So when I got hurt, they were like, oh man, you screwed me this year, you're out. And then it turned around and I won, and then they won, and they were like, oh man, thanks, So it's just, but obviously with our regulations and things like that, being in the sport, being athletes of the sport, we're not allowed to do any of that stuff. So it doesn't really affect me a whole lot, but having more outside eyeballs on the sport of sports bettors and being a part of NASCAR and seeing who's going to beat who or who's going to win the race. There's so many different ways of bets these days that it's not just as simple as, 1 or 2 or 3 bets. It's hundreds that you can choose from. So I think that's very interesting and, I think lends itself to a different crowd.
Bruce?
Bruce Meyer with Speed Sport. You got Brexton now in quarter midgets, and I know that you spent an awful lot of time working with him. What do you do to help him learn racing, and how much do you look at how much natural ability that the kid has? Because Will Power told me the other day this kid's really good.
Will Power said that about my kid? Didn't Will Power say he wanted to fight me too, like a couple months ago? Huh? What? Yeah, Miss IndyCar. Yes, please explain. I think it would be post-race fights, but yeah.
And he said, well, I'd take Kyle Busch. That's all. He's not because he doesn't fight.
Gotcha. Just because it would be a bigger name to fight. I gotcha. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. Gotcha. All right. Back to Brexton for a second. So, yeah, I mean, it's been really fun to just work with him, to see him. I mean, when we started, we went 3 laps down in an 8-lap heat race. I mean, it was painful. But he learned, and he just wanted to go to the racetrack and make circles. And it was so frustrating as a dad knowing, like, man, I know you can do this. Like, come on, step on the gas. Let's go. To just let him get his bearings and let him get his feet wet and to feel it out and understand what it is, what's happening. At 5 years old, I don't even remember 5 years old. So for him to just figure out making circles, I can see how that's a bit tough and challenging for someone like that. But now he'll turn 7 in May, and again, still he's very young for his age, and he's doing really well. We're having fun. He's running quarter midgets, junior sprints, outlaw carts. We're going across the country. We've got 3 races out in California when we're there. We got 3 races out in Phoenix when we're there. I built out his schedule. There's a possibility of going to like 80 shows this year, but we're not going to hit them all. I just put them all on the calendar. So I guarantee you he runs 50, 60 races this year at least. But, that's going to be a lot for a 6-year-old. It is, yeah. It's very good. Well, honestly, he's taught me a little bit too. So as I'm his driver coach and I'm helping him through things, and I'm thinking like, I'm on the sidelines and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking like, what do I need to tell him? How can I explain this to a 6-year-old? So when he comes in off the racetrack and we go over stuff and watch film and look at things, I can talk to him about it. Now I'm using that to myself as I'm driving around the racetrack. Like, okay, DA, dumbass, like do this, like look at this differently. Like, all right, don't screw this up. Like, hey, you need to throw it into the top a little bit higher. Like, oh, you missed that corner. That was dumb. And so like just certain things in that nature, like I'm talking to myself, driver coaching myself, I feel like a lot more now. So whether that's good or bad, I don't know. We'll find out.
Let's go over here.
I'll have to fire that guy eventually.
Okay, let's go over here, Daniel.
Daniel McFadden, FrenchRace.com. Kyle, obviously you and your brother Kurt worked together briefly in the Xfinity Series about 10 years ago. I'm wondering now that for the brief amount of time he's been under the Toyota roof, what's the benefit you've seen from him being a part of that organization that maybe you weren't expecting?
Nothing yet. No, but seriously, we've only had 1 race and 1 meeting, so we haven't had a whole lot yet. But so far, like the things that I kind of said, the things that Denny kind of said from our post race at Coliseum, Kurt was online with much of that as well too. He's kind of adding in a little bit of stuff about his experiences of the last couple of years being with the Chevy guys, being with Ganassi, and kind of what they were doing and how they were going about things. But that's all processes that I think is now completely different than what our current processes are, because that was old car. Obviously, we're in the new car. A little bit of engine stuff, is a bit different, which TRD should be leaning on him a lot because he's very he's not knowledgeable, but yeah, he understands and sees what's happening and how it's happening and can explain some of that. So, anyways, yeah.
Is there any chance we could see him in a KBM truck at some point?
If he's got any money, sure. Dollar bill, y'all.
Okay, let's go over here to Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I'm on before qualifying. I want to ask you how much importance does your team put on qualifying at Daytona tonight?
0. You'll find out.
Talk to me. Tell me.
18th, maybe, if we're lucky. That's where we'll be.
Is
I
it
got
be-
nothing for you. Sorry, Claire. We don't put any emphasis on it. I mean, we try, but we're gonna be mid-pack.
So is that something then you just figure, well, that's it. We're not going to worry about it. Other teams put more into it. We go on. We roll into the Daytona 500, the duels, et cetera.
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, I think you'll see a Hendrick car or two on the front row. So
And is that
same
true-
old stuff, right? New car, same stuff. Watch for the 48 car.
Yeah. And that's pretty much knowledge. I mean, you know that going in, right? It's not.
Yeah. Our emphasis is on racing. Obviously, you want to race well, do well. So, we've all got to take care of what we got right now. So we know in the duels we can't race 100%, let's say, even though there is that 100% rule. Don't say that. That's bad. Just got to take care of our stuff. We got to get to the 500. We don't need to be using up backup cars. Backup cars, I think, are California cars. Not California cars, Vegas cars. So there's just all that sort of stuff that lines up right now with where we're at in this whole parts deal.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Can we go over here to Zach?
Zach Sterniolo, front stretch. Kyle, I'm curious what your approach for super speedway racing is at this point. We know that you've been in position a couple of times to win some of these races, but a lot of times you get caught up in that calamity. How do you approach this mentally?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I feel like Denny does a really good job of probably preparing the most, and as we've seen, he's won 3 of the last, 7 500s, so he's getting the most out of it as well. I don't know what his preparations are, but they're probably different than mine, which have become more fruit for him than for me, so maybe I need to change something, but in reality, I feel like it's so circumstantial anyways that what's the point, do your certain amount of study, watch some film, and talk to your guys and strategize what you can. But past that, I mean, I was leading a Daytona 500 here a few years ago and had a flat left rear, crashed, leading a Daytona 500 with 13 laps to go, blew up, running top 8, top 10 most of the day, another year. I think I finished second or third in that one, so it's all happens. Whatever happens, happens. You can be running 4th going into 3 and win the race. Be leading, be wrecked, So, what's the study?
Okay, let's come up here to Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Kyle, with Mars leaving at the end of the year, I know you posted earlier today there's going to be promotion for fans, so I'm sure there's going to be things throughout the year where they're going to do, and you'll acknowledge them as they leave. But what has the process been like for you? Have you been involved? Do you want to be involved? And what comes next as far as a sponsor for you? And how different is that for you? I can't recall. You haven't really been in this position. It's certainly your relationship with Mars has been quite some time.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic, the relationship we've had with Mars. I mean, since 2008. They've been in the sport for almost 30 years and been with me for 15 of those, so it's been fantastic. But it's just unfortunate times of change and things like that. New regime at the top that just come in and I guess don't see the value, so we're moving on. But Overall, just looking, we're in the process of searching, looking for new partners and being involved with myself and Joe Gibbs Racing, and hopefully being able to take me into retirement, I guess you'd say. If I've got 5, 6, 8, 10 years left, whatever, you'd like to be able to find somebody that can hang on that long and then call it good, right? So that would be in a perfect world, perfect storm, to not have to go after, 5 people to replace one, to take over the, how many races is it? Is it 30 races, I guess, with Interstate having 6. So, that's just a part of where we're at right now. I'd love to be involved. I'd love to say, yeah, that, put up Fortune 500s on the wall and start picking which ones you want to go after or which ones you want to have as your sponsors. But in reality, that doesn't quite work that easy. Certain companies definitely have different, whether it's values or objectives on what they want to accomplish in marketing. Like Lowe's, Home Depot, they got rid of all sports marketing in general completely, So there's going to be companies like that just don't see it, where hopefully we can find some that do.
All right, got time for one more. Any more questions? All right, Kyle, thanks for coming in.
You got it. Thanks.